Alex Cameron, Oxy Music album review. Let's chat about it. Hey guys, what's going on? John here from What's Spinning, here tonight to chat about this latest from Mr. Alex Cameron. He is a Sydney-based synth pop soft rock oddball. He has been at it for quite some time, who in his last few years has gained a little bit of a reputation, for better and for worse, and in his early days, I didn't get it, man. I mean, I know that his Jumping the Shark debut album has a cult following. I get it. There's parts to it that I like too. Don't get me wrong. I actually think that there's some pretty great elements to this track, like some of the quirky lyrics, the character study that we got here, Alex's fascination with these oddball characters. That I love. That's something that I've always really appreciated about his music. It was more along the lines of lo-fi production that I wasn't that into. It ended up coming off like, I don't know, some early Ariel Pink. A little bit more on the pervy side, though. But when 2017's Forced Witness came around, I actually got on board with a lot of what Alex was doing. I loved this seedy character that he was playing throughout this entire album, and the first-person stories that he was taking us on. It was simultaneously really fascinating but bitingly hilarious. It was a bizarre satire set to painfully catchy pop tunes. I genuinely feel like, I don't know, Country Figs and Running Out of Luck were some of the catchiest tunes of the year. Then Alex decided to follow that up with his very polarizing, very divisive Miami Memory, which, once again, I saw some merit in. Title track's great, Far From Born Again is great, but the lack of direction on some of the rest of the album did worry me for Alex. Now, leading up to this album, I actually was, genuinely interested in what he was doing. I thought the singles he was putting out, whether it be K-Hole or Best Life, were actually pretty good. Let's chat about this thing. Best Life starts this album off, still love it. I've loved it since I first heard it. I love the quirky synths, I love the sunny vibes, very positive feel to it all. And Alex's performance here is great. This, to me, sounds like where he should be right now to a T. It brings me back to the days of Forced Witness, but not in a cheesy way. It just makes me feel like I'm home. I have a lot of the same feelings on Sara. I think it's a great single. The tongue-in-cheek lyrics are great. I love his very cheesy, very sleazy performance, if you will. My only critique here, if you want to sit with me for a second, is that I worry that this maybe isn't coming as easily to Alex. Like, there was a time where he just sounded like he had been studying soft rock and throwback 80s stuff for years, and this was just second nature to him. I worry that this maybe sounds like it's coming to him a little less easy. But I digress. I still think it's a pretty great single. And K-Hole is probably the best track here. I love the warm rhythms. I love the tongue-in-cheek lyrics once again. They are certainly Alex Cameron lyrics at the end of the day, aren't they? It's probably the most hymn track here. It's just a really solid single. Also, it's by far the most quotable thing here. That's for damn sure. However, the fact that this album is not coming as easily to Alex is more glaring than ever as this album rolls on. Prescription Refill got my hopes up. I thought the instrumental was bubbly and quirky and fun. But first off, the production on this album as a whole is not really where I like to hear Alex's music. And I also worry that this track doesn't go the distance. Like, it starts off with some pretty solid ideas, but I don't think he really finalizes any of them. It's not the same great commentary. It's not the same really insanely catchy tune with some great satire thrown in. I think that's what it comes down to at the end of the day. I think that's what this whole album comes down to. Hold the Line, it's my least favorite track here. It is so stiff. His music used to have such a free feeling to it, like he just sat down and just, this is how he was feeling. Almost like the characters that he was caricaturing and investigating on were a little bit too close to reality. But this is so stiff. This is so rigid. I don't know what happened. And on Breakdown, I have a completely different issue at hand. I feel like Alex has wrote this track here like 100 different times. I mean, yes, he's only released 3 albums. Don't tell me that he doesn't have 100 songs. I don't want to hear it. You know the point. He's been here before. And trust me, every one of those other times, it was much more compelling than this. This album for me is a real mixed bag. Like, a real mixed bag. When it's rough, it's really rough. I don't personally think Alex has regained that level that he was at when it came to Forced Witness. I actually do like Dead Eyes, though. I like the heavy-eyed, gloomy, bluesy, rainy day soul of this track, between the very rainy instrumental that we get here, as far as his vocals go, too, which are just so bluesy and so tragic. I actually like that a lot. It also adds some very well needed depth to this album. Amen. Yeah, I don't really have a lot of bad things to say about it. I love Roy Malloy's sax solo too. But then we got Cancel Culture featuring Lloyd Vines. It's not pretty. I actually was really into the beat on this one at first. I thought it shifted this album nicely, mixed things up a little bit, but this track falls apart very quickly. Much like the rest of this album, it starts off with one idea, but doesn't really do much to, really wrap up any of them. It ends up being just a very lukewarm message. I'm disappointed, and by the end of it, this track gets pretty cringeworthy. I will say this though, Oxy Music featuring Sleaford Mods Jason Williamson as a finale is actually a pleasant surprise. This is an oddball pairing I did not expect to see here, but it's actually one of the best collaborations here. I love the beat. It sounds like something he would have touched in his early days. It ends up being like a real sharp, biting critique of modern drug culture. And honest to God, Jason Williamson sounds more comfortable here than whatever the hell Sleaford Mods have been doing these days. It sounds sloppy, man. There's some great singles on this album. Some of Alex's best in a while. And some great deep cuts, too. But when this album falls apart, it's very clear that this music isn't coming as easy to Alex as it did in the days of Forced Witness. It's just not. It really is not. And you know what? He's not writing his catchy tunes to back it up, and he's not completing his critiques and caricatures, which makes things really kind of disappointing and more than anything a little cringy at times. It's a mixed bag. I'm feeling a very light 6 on this album, but let me know what you guys think down below. If you liked the video, be sure to give us a like, give us a subscribe, and let me know down below what you would like for me to chat about in the future. And until next time, have a great day, guys.